Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Rich with Unlimited Cards. You are well off the beaten path. If you have arrived here, you are in the shadows of Pride Rock Land. I am a nobody. Today we have Commander. 2013, Ikoria 2020. I thought both of these were very special enough to put into this video. This is almost the beginning of Commander. Ikoria here, 2020. Does anybody remember that? What happened in 2020? Does anybody remember just how insane the world was? The lack of printing, the shutting down of buildings, everybody flooded into Magic and Pokemon as well. Mostly, I would say the surge was probably in Magic. A lot of the older stuff as well. But what a crazy time! What a crazy time. Anyways, I'm here talking about Commander. A little history on Commander. I don't know if anybody out there watches my videos, how long you've been in this game, how much you know about things. And what sparked this video was really just seeing this comment that I saw on one of these social media platforms out there. But Commander was a game that was created by the players. It wasn't created by Wizards. It was created up in Canada, and it was named Elder Dragon Highlander. That's where you get the EDH for Commander. They created their own format. It's funny, what was it, 2011, somewhere around that area. Probably they created it a little bit earlier than that. So you kind of think about it, 2008 had just happened. It's kind of interesting, even though things like 2008 or 2020 are very devastating times that crush the world's life, there's a lot of beauty that comes out of it, right? I think just the isolation, and when people have less, they create more. Just a weird little hot take. So they started creating EDH. Wizards caught on to it, thought it was a great idea, renamed it Commander, and next thing you know, we are memeing up the Sol Ring card every single set. But 2013 was very special. I actually got this on deal, and I think a lot of people don't really know just how to go about deals. This video isn't about deals, but just I thought for you guys is they really say that going forward into whatever time we're going into, AI, technology, whatever it is that people say, the number one thing that you should have as a skill, or you should work on as a skill, is communication and relationships, especially in this time that we're going into. And this I bought off of building a relationship with a local store owner and talking to that person for years, buying from them multiple different times. They were hurting and they needed to get rid of something that probably will never sell. No one really cares about 2013 Commander. Sold me this and sold it to me for pretty good discount. Like fire sale prices, crash prices, Amazon dump prices. Ikoria 2020, yep, got that a number of years ago. 2020, simply put, less printing, beautiful era. Most of the sealed product that I own is from 2020, so we'll see how that does. But anyways, beautiful products. Talking about Commander though, I saw this post of this, either dude or dudette that went to, it was a little convention or something like that. They were playing against somebody else. They played a card that has nothing to do with the rulings that have been made recently on Commander with the bracket system and all that. And immediately the person next, that was playing them got very upset, and apparently they had very close ties to like the store owner or the owner of the convention or whatever, and threw a fit, and they eliminated that player for playing a card that does not show up in any of the rulings. And I got thinking about this. So I went to a local store recently and I was really curious. I wanted to ask them, how's the bracket system going, right? I think some of us probably don't care. Some of us probably do care. And here's the answer I basically got. So I went to the store, I asked about the rulings, and immediately the person who's been working there for years and years and years pointed me towards one of the players and says, he's the one taking care of the rulings. And I thought that was really interesting. It was just such a quick response. You would think with like all the rulings, the store would kind of figure out how they wanted to do things, because it's really messy right now. I guess I should probably go into why this happened with the bracket system too, for all those that don't know. But it's just interesting to me that they shoved it really quickly onto one of their players. They didn't want to deal with it. And frankly, I don't blame them. Like, you're running a store, you're WPN, you have all these different things that you have to do, maintain inventory, players, rulings, dealing with like crappy customers or good customers. It's a lot when you own a store. That's why it's so confusing why people just tear stores apart, because of the amount of work that they go through just to stay alive. And you're adding on to that they need to control like the rulings of the brackets and things like that. It doesn't make sense. If I was a store, I wouldn't want to deal with it either. But what happened over the summer here is a bunch of cards got banned. So, i.e., like a couple of the bigger names are like Dockside Extortionist or Mana Crypt as well. And the board, this Commander game was created by players, and so they wanted to create some ruling system, some kind of oversight system. And that involves like a separate entity from Wizards, and they create the rules and things like that. And they wanted to make a major ban announcement and banned a bunch of cards over the summer in Commander. I'm telling you. Some people, like, you think about like what their lives are like. Some people just you wake up every single day and you live in this tiny little box of a life, and you're looking through your kaleidoscope and all you see is just like this tiny little, so many people just get either triggered or upset just about things that are just, I don't know. It, it doesn't matter to me. I understand different levels of things matter to people, but the lashback was so violent, and the commander board that made the decision to do the ban, they were split. There were some people that said, yeah, let's do this. Some people said, no, let's not do this. I think they were mostly in agreement that the cards were a problem, obviously. Commander is a problem. Sometimes you have overpowered, sometimes you have underpowered. It creates a lot of emotions. And so they wanted to get rid of the very overpowered things that just consistently were just beating the game into the dirt. I mean, it's not really beating it into the dirt, but that's, yeah. So when they banned these cards, the lashback was so violent, And they went after, there was one woman, I don't even know what her name was, that was on the board. And a lot of the players went after her. And I think they sent her death threats. Who knows, maybe other threats as well. It just, the world we live in is so insane. Where like a card gets banned. Yes, I understand you lose value in the card, or you can't play it. You know, you spent $100 on this card and you can't play it. You know, it sucks. I get it. But going to these extremes of just violence and hatred is, it blows my mind. Anyways, I digress. And they went after this one woman. The funny thing is that she was actually against the decision to ban those cards. And the world just attacked her. Like, the people have no facts, they have no direction. They're just like, who's the closest one? Stab, stab, stab. Like, what? The I, I digress. So we're not going to go too much into that. What got created out of this is that they ended up quitting. Like that woman, like, why would she want to be in that job? She was literally fighting for the players and got completely mauled. Why the hell would she stay there? It's like, this is not worth my time. I mean, do they even get paid for this job? You know, and so Wizards comes flying in to grab it all and to maintain it because of their buffer, right? If someone gets mad, you throw it at the bouncy buffer that Wizards has, the bubble around their store, you know, their store, their enterprise. And they created this thing called the bracket system, right? Now, the rules of the bracket system are very vague, and it can create a lot of problems. We understand it's starting up. They made a press release, I don't know, a month ago or something like that, to refine some of the rules or whatever. But in the end, you know, I'm going to the store and I'm asking them, and they're immediately pointing at the player there. And so it's up to that player to follow what Wizards is saying, and we don't know if they're actually going to do that or not. So I'm looking at this whole situation, and, you know, we are entering this time where there's just a bunch of different pods all over the country here of people who are just making up their own rulings. And heaven forbid you you irritate somebody and you might get kicked out, right? I built a commander deck. I do have time in my life, so I built one for the fun of it if I ever come across somebody that I can play at some point. And one of the things I was thinking about is making it so that literally every single bracket I can play in. Because going, like, for me, you know, think about the time of going to the store and playing at the store, and I don't know, going to a convention or a tournament or what, you know, whatever the hell is going on. Like, all that time, the money you spend in the deck, the time, all that. And it just goes out the window because you're playing a card that's illegal and you get kicked out. Like, think about that. I wanted to avoid that. So, you know, any kind of discrepancy, you know, if it's close to one of the rulings, I eliminate it from the deck. Nobody cares. I just, I don't want to get kicked out. We are entering a time where there's all these different pods that are creating their own rules. You know, it's kind of like the post office. A long time ago, I used to work for the post office. And one of the reasons why I drifted away from that system, I'm not saying it's a bad job or anything, was that I like a linear fashion, right? Of course, there are changes, there are unknowns, we figure out those things in life. But I like rules. Not everybody does. I understand. Some people want anarchy out there. I mean, yeah, anarchy brings war and hatred and a whole lot of things you don't want to deal with. But, I mean, apparently people think it's better than rules. Me, I'm on the side of rules. I like rules because rules keep things intact and people don't have to attack each other for things that are what I consider subpar, not that important. And oh man, these rulings are so confusing, and they spent the time. They're refining them, but you still have the pods. And that's what I was saying was I was working at the post office and you have rules over the entire system, but you have all these different offices in every single different, city out there. If you even live in a town, maybe you have four houses and no post office, but there's tons out there, many many post offices, and they're all owned by a postmaster, and they're creating their own rules. Or if they run into a problem or something, they figure it out on the spot, right? And it's created a fractured system because the problem is that not everybody's on the same page, so you see the variances and it looks like chaos. This is the point that I'm getting at. If I went to, my local store and brought my deck to play, maybe I learn a hard lesson, but then, maybe you'd bring like a few extra cards, you could switch it out easy or something. I don't know. I don't know how to go about this stuff. I think that would be a good way to, if someone plays something people don't like or they don't want it there or something, I guess bring extra cards or draw another card, exile it out of the game. Figure out something, people. And here I am. Like, if I go to the next state, let's say, and go to a store over there, I could get kicked out because of that. It's getting messy. It is getting messy. There needs to be some overarching structure that's above people's heads. Rules have a reason for them. Or simply put, you're going to end up losing players. You're going to end up losing players, number one. Number two, you're going to have an entire community of just entitled players that literally can just complain about random cards that mean nothing with the rulings just to win or get you kicked out or whatever. Crazy world. Like, where are we going with this? There needs to be more effort and more refinement of rules and adoption across the board. Or, I mean, if everybody just wants to go to each player does their own thing, then, maybe there needs to be a structured kind of the store, sorry stores, but maybe a player in the store writes up the rulings on the paper. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not, But there needs to be something because this kind of chaos can drag down the most popular, hot take, the most popular format in Magic the Gathering. These kind of things can take it down and destroy it. We have a bunch of people either complaining or you have no rules. I mean, that's how Commander was created. But the time we're living in now, I don't think it works as well. And it was a tightly knit community up there in Canada that figured it out, right? We're talking about like the world now. The world knows about Commander. Everybody's into it. You have got to figure out, for Wizards or stores or the players that are creating the rules in the stores, you've got to figure out a solid system. Life is about systems. If you have no system, it's chaos. Chaos can be fun at times, but it can be very destructive through all the confusion. There needs to be a system. And people are going to complain anyways. There's still going to be posts that we all read on social media, internet, whatever. People are still upset, right? But there needs to be a system. Because the card that this person was talking about, I haven't ever heard anywhere. And they were talking about complaining to Wizards. I don't even think Wizards cares. I don't even think Wizards will go after that store. Like, that is way too small of a problem for them. So, obviously, they figured out a solution that they thought worked, and they're literally just putting it in our laps. So, if it's in our laps, we need to figure it out. There needs to be some establishment of rules on a piece of paper, whatever. There needs to be a system. I mean, apply that to your own life too. You need systems. That's what makes it function. That's why people write out schedules and plan out their day so that it's just not complete chaos and you can move forward in a linear fashion. I don't know. That's my rant for today. I don't even know if this video even gave anything to anybody, but it's getting crazy. And we're new into the process. When you're new into the process, there's a lot of change, frustration until you figure it out. The only problem that I foresee is with a company like Hasbro, a company like Wizards. They're just so big and so slow that the changes might not come quick enough. And especially in a time where people are way more negative on these products in this company, it could get ugly. I know that's funny to say that it could get ugly over something like the game of Commander that's supposed to be fun. Man, it could. I don't know how much these are online. Maybe they didn't move up. If they didn't move up, they're undervalued. If they moved up, they're undervalued. 2013 is an old year. That is 12 years ago. This 5 years ago. Products are getting old. Anyways, that's my rant. Enjoy.